Hello friends, this is Anchal and I welcome you all on Adda247. Today, on another session of root words, I tell you, we have another 6 words to learn. And with this, I want to tell you, root words are not something that will help you out only in the vocabulary part, but then it will help you out in every possible way. And why do I say that? Everybody knows root words is something that will help you out finding a lot many words except the word that you have learned. When I learn a word from article, you'll only learn that word. Or for example, if I read one article, maybe you learn 5 words, maybe you learn 6 words out of that article. But then if you learn 5 to 6 root words from those articles, you'll be able to identify at least 25 words from 5 root words. At least 25 words from 5 root words. Why? Because whenever you have this root word written in any of the words, you'll be able to find out its meaning easily. Why? Because you know the meaning of its root word. And that would help you out in finding the meanings and improving your vocabulary in a lot way better. Now, to begin with this, I hope I've told you many root words in the previous sessions as well. And with that hope, I'll tell you, you must have made at least 5 root words out of every root word that you have learned in the previous videos. With this, let's begin with the session today. And the first word for today is PHAG, fag. This actually means to eat something, to have something, to consume something, right? So you can make a lot of words out of it, like esophagus is one of them. We have anthropophagy. We have sarcophagy. We have xylophagus. We have necrophagy. We have oligophagus. Now see, you have so many words written over here, and you have a lot of words with fag written in it, right? You have every word rather with fag written in it, and each word defines something or the other in relation to having, eating or consuming, right? For example, the first word is esophagus. I hope you're aware of this because this is something that is present in our body. Esophagus is actually a muscular tube that carries food to the stomach. So the tube that helps us to carry the food from our mouth to the stomach is actually what we mean by esophagus. Next is anthropo or sarco. Anthrop or sarco, as I have told you already, they define man, they define human, they define people, right? So both of them defines man, human or people, and then you have faggy written with it. So this mean nothing but cannibalism. What does this mean? Cannibalism. Cannibal are the persons who eat human, are the people who eat human. So this is what we mean by cannibal. And when I say faggy, sarcophagy or anthropophagy, this is cannibalism, that means the human eating human. This means human eating human. Then we have xylophagus. We have the word xylo written, and xylo actually defines wood. Xylo defines wood. So when I say xylo, this means wood. Phag defines to eat. So xylophagus is something that feeds on, that is feeding on wood. For example, if we talk about mites, what do? Mites eat on furniture, right? So they are something, or that are something that defines what? Being fed on wood. Next is necrophagy. Now, as I told you, we have already learned this word necro, which defines being dead or something related to death. Phagy is to eat, necro defines dead or death. So necrophagy is nothing but feeding on corpses. With this, corpses mean nothing but the dead bodies. So any animal or any insect that eats on corpses, that eats on dead bodies, for example, if we refer to eagle, if we refer to vultures, they eat on dead bodies. Whatever dead body the animals or the humans, a dead body is lying, they come and eat it, and that is what we mean by necrophagy, feeding on corpses, that is dead bodies. Next is oligophagous. Now, oligophagous is something that defines a limited number of. Oligo, this defines a limited number of, and we are talking about phag, that means we are eating something, we are consuming something, right? So, feeding a limited number of food. For example, now see, amount can be more. The amount of food can be more, but the number should be limited. For example, if you refer to the Chinese food cuisine, what happens? You have, suppose you have 5 dishes. Those 5 dishes are fixed. You'll have limited number, those 5 dishes only, but then the amount of the food can increase or decrease. So, fag is a word that defines consumption, that defines eating something, that defines having something, and it is always related to anything and everything that is related to food. So, whatever word you join, this will change according to it, obviously. Why? Because when I placed anthrop, this was related to human. When I placed xyle, that was related to wood. When I placed necr, that was related to dead or dead bodies, right? So, the word, the root word defines eat, but when you place it with the other words, the meaning of the same changes. Then we have the word per. Now, per defines through or throughout. Through or throughout. When something goes, when something starts from one end and it continues to the other end, it keeps on working to the other end, that is what we mean by per, right? We have the word permanent out of it. We have the word permeate out of it. We have the word persist. We have perennial. We have perish. Now, when I say permanent, permanent is something that is present in all times. For example, who's your permanent friend? This is what I ask when I want to ask who is your best friend. So, permanent is actually who or which, a person or a non-living thing, which is present in all time. So, lasting in all time is what we mean by permanent. Next is permeate. Again, you have the word ate written over here. And I have already told you when a word ends with ate, it is always treated as a verb. When I say permeate, permeate, per defines through or throughout and ate defines verb. So, permeate is nothing but to spread throughout. To spread throughout. Throughout the time, throughout the space, throughout the area. When something is being spread, this is what we mean by permeate, right? Then we talk about the word persist. Persist means that is continued over a long period of time, right? No matter what happens, no matter he falls or he rises, when something continues for a long period of time, that is what we mean by persist. So, continuing for a long time. Next is perennial. Now see, when I say neal, this defines years. This defines years, a lot of years, many years. This is what we mean by perennial. Now, per defines through or throughout. So, throughout those many years is what we mean by perennial. So, it says lasting through many years is what we mean by perennial. Next is perish. Perish means to deteriorate. Perish means to deteriorate. That means something is going through its life. Its life, what does this mean? For example, you bought a ripe mango and then you kept it there. You kept it somewhere in the house. Now that mango goes through its life, that means it starts to perish. If you do not use it, if you do not have it, if you do not consume it, what happens to that mango? It starts to perish, it starts to deteriorate. And this is what we mean by perish, to go through its life. And once the life starts, it will definitely come to an end. So, going through the life of something is what we mean by perish, right? So, with this you understood the meaning of per, ate, necr and neal. Now, with neal you can also write newel. This is also this is something which defines the year as well. For example, we have annual. Annual means what? Once in a year. We say biannual. That means 2 times in a day, right? So whenever we have newel ya neal written somewhere, this defines years, right? With this we come to the third word, and that is P-E-L or P-U-L-S. Both of them define the force or drive. Compulsion is what we mean by this. Coercion is what we mean by this. Forcefulness, if you ask somebody, if you provoke somebody, or if you force somebody to do something, that is what we mean by pel or pulse. We have the word compel, we have expel, we have repel, we have impulsion, we have propel, we have propulsion. Now see, each word has pel or pulse in it. The only thing is the words used with it will define the meaning of it. For example, if we have the word compel. Compel means if you're forcing somebody to do something. If you are forcing somebody to do something, this is what we mean by compel, to force someone to act. Act, to come in action, to do something for you. This is what we mean by compel. Next is expel. Now expel means to drive someone out of a place. For example, this student has been expelled from his college. That means the college has driven him out of that college premises, of that place, right? So expel means when somebody forcefully takes somebody out of somewhere. For example, if you're going for clubbing, if you misbehave there, what happens? The bouncers do what? The bouncers just expel you out. That means with forcefulness, they drive you out of a place. Next is repel. Now see, whenever we have this word rewritten somewhere, this talks about what? This talks about repetition, right? Repel, repeat, reverse. This is something that defines what? That defines repetition of something. So when I say repel, this means to force. Pel means to force, and redefines what? To force back. For example, if you join two same points of magnets, if you join two same points of magnet, what happens? They repel. That means with forcefulness, they go apart. So this is what we mean by repel, to force back. So magnets with same points repel each other. That means they go back on each other. Then we say impulsion. Impulsion is actually an uncontrolled quick action. For example, at times what happens when you are angry, you say something, you don't realize that you have said wrong, but that anger was uncontrolled, and in that uncontrolled anger, you did something really quick, and that was not appreciable, right? So this is what we mean by impulsion, an uncontrolled quick action related to anything. Then we have the word propel. Propel means push forward. Push forward. When we were children, what we did was we went to our teachers and we asked our friends what to do. You go and say. And then our friend asked us, no, you go and say. Then again we said, no, you go and say. So we are doing what? We are eventually pushing each other to do something. So what are we doing? We are propelling each other to do something. So push forward somebody to do something is what we mean by propel. Next is propulsion. Now propulsion is a noun to propel. Propel is a verb. Propulsion is a noun to propel. Propulsion means an action of pushing forward. The action of pushing forward, you are forcing somebody to do something for you, and that is what we mean by propulsion, right? Now, I hope you've understood the meaning of pel, per and pulse easily, and you won't have any difficulty in answering any of the word that is associated or that are associated to any of these root words. With this we come to the fourth root word, and that is plast, plast, or plasm, plasm. Both of them defines the formation or the development of something. Generally this word is used during or while working with cells. So if you change the size, if you change the shape of something and you develop something, you improve something into some other thing, that is what we mean by plast or plasm, right? See, the word that we can take out of these are protoplasm. We can make plastic, we can make plaster, we can make endoplasm, we can make cytoplasm. Now, understand the meanings of each and every word. Why? Because they are equally related to each other. When I say plasm or plas, or everything defines the formation or development of something, especially endoplasm and cytoplasm are related to cells, right? When I say protoplasm, protoplasm is nothing when you say something that is the first made. When something is discovered, when something is made for the first time ever, that is what we mean by protoplasm. When something was not available in any of the time and you discovered it, you made it out of your invention, that is what we mean by protoplasm, the first made thing. Then we say plastic. When I say plastic, you actually mean the plastic table, the plastic chair, the plastic toy that we use. So actually plastic is nothing like a material or a substance. Plastic can be anything which can change its form, which can change its size just by warming it, just by giving it a different temperature. So when I say plastic, plastic is actually something which is able to be formed when warm. Then we have the word plaster. Plaster is actually a mixture of sand and lime and some other thing. Mixture that forms a covering for the walls. So whatever covering that you give to the walls after they have been built, that is what we mean by plaster. So I hope you understand the meaning of plaster now, right? Then we have the word cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is actually the inner portion, or rather I would say endoplasm is the inner portion of the cytoplasm. The inner portion of the cytoplasm is called endoplasm. And what does cytoplasm mean? It means the material within the cell. The material within the cell. For example, now suppose this is your cell, whatever is inside this cell, is what we mean by cytoplasm. Whatever is inside this cell is what we mean by cytoplasm. And whatever is inside the cytoplasm is what we mean by endoplasm. Cell, cytoplasm, endoplasm. Got it? We have a cell, whatever is there inside the cell is cytoplasm, and whatever you have inside that cytoplasm is called endoplasm, right? So I hope you understand the meaning of plasm and plast now, which will give you something or in relation with cell or the development or formation of some or the other thing, right? With this we come to the fifth root word, and that is P-O-L-I. When I say P-O-L-I, please do not confuse it with P-O-L-Y because both have different meanings. When I say P-O-L-I, this defines what? This defines related to city or the development of city or improvement of city. Whatever is related to city, this is what we mean by P-O-L-I. But when I say P-O-L-Y, this talks about many or more than one, right? For example, I have the word metropolis or metropolis, or I have cosmopolis, I say aquapolis, I can say acropolis, we have politics, we have police, right? So we have a lot of words related to this, and each and every word has P-O-L-I in it. And this, no matter what happens, this all of it talks about what? All of it talks about being or development or anything that is related to city. When I say metropolis, metropolis can be any large city. If I say mention the metropolises of northern India, or we can say the metropolis of southern India. So you can count Bangalore, you can count Hyderabad, you can count Mumbai, everything is there, and that is what we mean by metropolis, a large city. So a region can have many metropolis in it, but when I say cosmopolis, Cosmopolis means the capital city of the world. The capital city of the world, the capital city of the country, the capital city of the state. This is what we mean by cosmopolis. So if I say the capital city of India is what? It is Delhi. When I say the cosmopolis of Uttar Pradesh is Lucknow. So you can have only one cosmopolis of one region at a time, but when I talk about this metropolis, a large city, there can be more than one large city in a state, there can be more than one large city in a region. So metropolis can be more than one, but cosmopolis will be only one. Then I say aquapolis. Now see, aqua defines what? Aqua defines water. Polis defines what? This defines city. So aquapolis are the city or cities near the water. For example, Mumbai is near the water, right? So whenever your Allahabad is near the water, so when I say city or cities near the water is what we mean by aquapolis. Next is acropolis. As we have aqua meaning water, similarly we have acro that defines height. So acropolis, what does this define? It defines the city or cities that are built on high altitude. For example, we have Shimla. Shimla is on high altitude, so any city or cities on a hill is what we mean by acropolis. Next word is politics. Politics are the government or the actions actually. Actions of the government for the city. Those actions that are taken in the improvement, in the development of the city is what we mean by politics, and the people who do it, the people who take the actions for improving the city are actually called politicians. The other word is police, and police are the people who work for the law and order of the city. So people who work for the law and order of the city are called police, who take care of the law and order of the city, that nobody, whosoever is staying here, nobody should cross the limits, nobody should violate the rules, the laws that are mentioned in the constitution for the particular place or the city, right? With this we come to the last word, that is POLY. Just now we read about POLI, that defines what? That defines city. But when I say POLY, this defines many or more than one, right? This defines more than one. For example, we have the word polygamist or rather polygamy. We have polychrome, we have polygot, we have polygon, we have polyphagism. Now see, fag, so fag, you have just read about the word fag, right? So when I say polygamy, gam is a word that defines marriage. Gam is a word that defines marriage, right? So gamy, poly means more than one, gam means marriage. So polygamy is what? Practice of marrying more than one spouse. When somebody gets married to more than one, for example, if we talk about the traditional people that we have as kings or queens, they have a lot of queens. The single king had a lot of queens, and that is what we mean by polygamy, practice of having more than one spouse at a time. Then we have the word polychrome. Now see, chrome is the word that defines what? This defines color. Chrome defines colors. So poly means a lot, many, and chrome defines color. So this means what? Having a lot of colors. For example, you can take it through rainbow. That means a rainbow has a lot of colors, obviously. So polychrome can be said as rainbow, anything which has a lot of colors in it. Next is polygot. Got is somebody related to languages. Got is somebody related to languages. When I say polygot, polygot is a person who is fluent in many languages. Person fluent in many languages. Maybe he can understand a lot of languages, maybe he can speak a lot of languages, maybe he can write a lot of languages. So that is what we mean by polyglot. Next is polygon. Gon is a word that defines angle, right? Gon is a word that defines angle. Poly means many. So polygon is an angle or a shape with 3 or more straight sides. Anything which has 3 or more straight sides in it, that is what we mean by polygon. Next is polyphagism. Now see, poly means many, phag means eating something. ISM defines what? ISM defines a process of something. So polyphagism is actually a habit of feeding on a variety of plants and animals. See, there's one person that's called carnivorous, there's one person called herbivorous. Carnivorous eats on flesh, lives on flesh. Herbivorous lives on plants. Omnivorous lives on both. But polyphagism or polyphagist is a person who lives on both plants and animals. But then again, he wants variety in these two. When I say animal, he'll be having each and every kind of animal. For example, he can have mutton, he can have chicken, he can have beef, and everything that is related to animal. And then if we talk about the word plants, plants again defines something that can be herbs, that can be vegetables, anything, or that can be fruits. So anything related to plants or animals, right? So here we come to the end of this video. I hope you must have got a lot of words out of it, and I want you to make at least 5 words out of each word that you have learned. Apart from these 6 root words, you have learned some more, that is chrome, that defines color. You have learned gam, that defines marriage. Acro defines height, aqua defines water, re defines repetition, anthrope defines man or human, xyle defines wood, necro, dead, ate is a verb, neal or newel, both of them defines years, right? So whenever you have, for example, we have annual as well, right? So once in a year, biannual, twice in a year. So whenever you have these root words, you'll be able to understand the meanings. So try and find out as many words as you can from each root word that you learned today. With this, I bid you a bye-bye and take care of yourself. Keep watching Adda247.